Well, there's no real connection between today's picks other than that they're awesome and were made outside of the US, which, as history has proven, will most likely not get a lot of views for this post. But I promise you, you might have to read these films, but you're going to be happy you did. Give today's number 17 pick for the Best in Horror Countdown 2024 through 2025 and the subsequent worth noting pick a chance. They're good ones. Coming in at number 17 is Mads. It was released on October 18th, 2024, and is streaming on Shudder.
It's directed and written by David Moreau. From David Moreau, the director of Them and The Eye, comes Mads, a technically intriguing descent into absolute madness. After taking an experimental drug, Romaine, played by Milton Reich, runs into a frantic woman on the side of the road. When he tries to help her, she attacks him. Not wanting to miss out on the night of partying, Romaine leaves her body in the garage and leaves for the party with his girlfriend Anais, played by Lori Pavey, and the girl he's cheating on his girlfriend with, Julia, played by Lucille Guillaume. At the party, Romaine infects both Anais and Julia with a virus that seems to be a mutation from both the drug Romaine used and the bite from the woman. When a containment team arrives, all three must run for their lives while feeling the effects of the contagious virus. Mads is a non-stop madness. The film is supposed to have been made in one take, meaning that the entire hour and a half was done without cutting the camera at any time. Anyone who has made or even watched the making of films know that this is a gargantuan task. It runs more akin to a stage play done in front of a live audience from beginning to end, but adds special effects and multiple locales, and the chances of accomplishing this all in one take is near impossible. Now, though I couldn't identify it, I'm sure somewhere along the way there were some cheats where the film actually was edited, but still the film attests that it was all done in one take. Either way, this technical detail makes Mads all the more of an impressive piece of filmmaking. This continuous movement of the camera and constant action within the frame makes Mads a hectic and almost exhausting film to watch. This is not a movie where the actors stand around and talk for 5 minutes at a time, then move to another room and blab another 5 or 10 minutes. The players are almost always moving from one room to the next when they are inside of a place, such as a party they visit or within Romaine's house, or the camera is somehow tagging along with moving vehicles, bicycles, and people running. While the action in the movie enveloped and interested me, I found myself marveling at the way filmmaker David Moreau was able to keep the camera work kinetic and mobile as he follows these three main players as they descend into madness. Now, the story itself is a typical Contagion tale as the camera follows three characters as they encounter this infection, which takes a while to turn the afflicted into lunatic zombies, and then pass it along to the next sad soul. The film keeps things vague about the origins of the infection. Sure, it's pretty obvious that the infected person Romaine picks up at the side of the road at the beginning of the film is the source of this madness plague, but the introduction of the drugs is the outlying factor. Do the drugs delay the effects? Do they intensify the symptoms? Or do they make the carriers immune to the effects? The answer is never revealed, but I'm sure adding a new experimental drug to the mix doesn't help things. The afflicted are downright scary. At times we see the world through their eyes, sort of, as the camera feels more like it's on the shoulders of each of these afflicted people rather than simply following them. The settings are not always normal, such as the party with flashing and neon lights everywhere, or the building under construction where the action of the film ends. All of it makes for a dreamlike experience, making the terrain these kids must move through unreliable and unearthly. The three main actors are great, the best of the bunch being Lori Pavey, who plays Anais. There's a scene where she's riding on the back of a motorcycle and she's struggling to keep her sanity, but unable to keep herself from bursting out in screams of terror and uncontrollable laughter. It's chilling seeing this juxtaposition of emotions, knowing that the character is struggling to keep her wits with her the whole time. Milton Roche as Romain serves as the connective tissue and infector of the two other main characters, and while he isn't a standout, he serves that purpose well as the privileged rich kid. But Lucille Guillemette, who plays Julia, is shown the most as struggling with this virus and offers up some great emotional range. Mads is a film that you can't just casually watch. It's engrossing from the way it was made to the action going on from beginning to end. It reminds me of films like Run Lola Run, which feels like an adrenaline shot in the heart in movie form. It's going to make your heart beat fast and your feet start tapping. Filmmaker Moreau delivers another monstrously good film that never lets up, and I highly recommend it for those who are fiending for fast-paced frights.
Here's a unique little ditty from Brazil. It's an independent film, but it looks like a Brazilian dollars. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Worth noting is A Mother's Embrace, aka ABRACO de Maye. It was released on September 15th, 2025, and streaming on Screambox. It's directed by Cristian Ponce, and written by Cristian Ponce, Gabriela Capello, and André Pereira. A Mother's Embrace begins with a mother taking her daughter to a carnival. The little girl insists to go into a funhouse, which turns out to be a maze based on the insides of the female body. The maze ends with a room made to look like a womb, which frightens the young girl, and the mother takes the frightened girl out and carries her home. This highly symbolic opener sets the stage for an intimate look at the complex relationships between mother and daughter. The film then scuttles forward to 25 years later, with the record-breaking downpour flooding a small Brazilian town, and a team of firefighters, including the grown-up girl from the intro, Ana, played by Marjorie Estiano, arriving at the nursing home in need of inspection due to the rising floodwaters. They're greeted by a strange wheelchair-bound woman who insists that the elderly tenants in the building are fine and must not move in the storm, but the firefighters insist and begin inspecting the dark home. Soon they find that the rising waters are the least of the dangers festering within the building's walls and floors. From Cristian Ponce, who was last seen helming the surprise shocker History of the Occult, comes a film literally dripping with atmosphere. This is a film that owes much to the absolutely treacherous setting the action takes place in. Torrential rain and thunderstorms are usually the go-to to set a dire mood in these types of movies, but in A Mother's Embrace, it's a menacing character all its own, challenging Ana and the firefighters at every turn. Everything is wet, damp, or dripping. This must have been one hell of a shoot, requiring much of the cast to be soaking wet for most of the movie as the water begins to seep into the home and tear it apart. But much like Wreck, a film A Mother's Embrace very much reminds me of, the dark maze-like corridors add a whole nother level of dire circumstance for our heroes, as the building literally seems to swallow these firefighters up and separates them from one another and the outside world. The fact that this takes place within a nursing home is already creepy, but knock out the lights, spring a leak from the walls, and have the elderly pittering around in the dark like cockroaches, and this is a dangerous setting that makes the viewer feel trapped and helpless. The weirdness doesn't stop there. With the arrival of a trio of guests, it seems there's something very culty going on. And while Ana is trying to go about her business evacuating the decrepit building, her fellow firefighters are disappearing, and more people keep showing up. The fact that no matter how much Ana orders and eventually pleads with the occupants to gather their things and leave, no one seems to listen, and nothing seems able to get in the way of whatever these weirdos have planned. The results are Lovecraftian, as tentacles slither through the cracks, and a giant beast seems to be materializing in the flooded basement. Yeah, this is definitely a unique one. I found the title, A Mother's Embrace, to be odd. It doesn't necessarily strike fear in the heart. Maybe it translates to something more sinister in its native language, but it does make sense as Ana herself finds a young girl in the building and, like Ripley and Newt, must battle the monsters and escape this treacherous place before it falls apart. The climax becomes a race against time as child becomes mother in order to save the day. Do they make it? Not telling. But for the unpredictable antagonists, the murky tentacle monster, and the setting where danger creeps at you from every direction, Cristian Ponce's Prince of Darkness-like nightmare, A Mother's Embrace is something truly unique from a visionary director worth following. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your own favorite movies of the year. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.